Mad, let me go and go. I didn't even know.
No. People are behaving on me. They have been doing bad things on me. I went mad into it because of this issue. Now they are trying to kill me.
I mean, first, speaking about some of the people that had label issues, you know, you tried not to look for trouble, but when the whole Mohbad thing happened, you spoke up.
Yeah.
Why did you feel like you had to speak up? That's the whole issue between Mohbad and Naira Marley.
Mohbad is my bro, and before I spoke out, I've been in the scene, though it was lucky. Right. I've been in the scene on there.
You saw what happened?
I saw what happened.
All right.
Even from the first time till the second time, I saw what happened.
Right.
I've always been in the loop of things. But at that point, it was someone have to speak for him. I don't have to say this, but I'll say this. At the point, me and Mohbad were in an apartment, and Mohbad was like, he wants to jump from the upstairs because of this labor issue. But we go hold this boy for window. Mohbad don't almost jump. Now his girlfriend just enter room, see Mohbad sit down for window. Because of all these things, bruh, you can't just keep going on there. And these people are just forming. There's nothing happening. Something is happening. Something will make you think, say you won't take your own life. Bruh, it's going to the extreme. Now you go happen, you go the right RIP, and we love them. No, there's no love there. And none of them will speak up. They inside that place. None of them won't look anybody high.
On the 12th of November, 2023, Ilerioluwa Oladimeji Aloba, 27-year-old musician we all knew as Mohbad, he died. As you would see from the video you just watched from my interview with his dear friend, Bella Shmoda, people feared for his life before his death. But they feared suicide. They feared that he was going through so much agony. You see, on the 5th of October, 2022, roughly a year before he passed, Mohbad had told the public, and I will quote him verbatim, "I'm dying inside and being physically assaulted under Naira Marley's label." Shortly after he made that claim, Naira Marley, the musician who owned Marlian Records, under which Ilerioluwa Mohbad was signed, dismissed it, saying that he was high when he made this claim and nobody was assaulting him. On the 6th of October, a day after, Mohbad repeated his claims. He said that Naira Marley asked his boys to beat him for requesting a new manager. On the 25th of October, the same month, Mohbad severed his contract with Marlian Records. His lawyer, O.M. Falade, issued the formal notice to the record label. In the document that was issued, Mohbad said to Marley that he was physically attacked violently and there were numerous threats to his life by his former record label boss, Naira Marley. The letter also said that the label had not fulfilled its contractual obligations to him since 2019, 3 years before, and hadn't paid all royalties due to him. After his passing, videos went around that an associate of Naira Marley, Sam Larry, alongside other of the boys, aforementioned boys that Mohbad mentioned, had actually physically assaulted Mohbad. Some say it was a fight, others say it was an attack. Mad, let me go and go. I didn't even
know. People are behaving on me. They have been doing bad things on me. I went mad into it because of this issue. Now they are trying to kill me.
But then 1 year after all of this hoopla, Mohbad dies. The last time that Mohbad was seen, according to a popular blog, was at a show in Ikorodu where, according to somebody who reported to the blog that first broke the news, he was hit with juju. Juju is Nigerian for diabolical powers. And a few days later, he had passed. 12th of September, a blog broke the news for the first time. Once this happened, Nigeria erupted. For over a year, artists and the public and the media had reported on this assault claims and the continuing battle between Mohbad and Naira Marley and the Marlian Records label. So by the time the young man passed, the anger was raw. People began to immediately request that Naira Marley and Sam Larry be arrested for the death of the young man. Not only that, people began to push a lot of hate in the direction of anybody associated with that label, including the immensely talented Zinoliski, who was on that label. Because according to the public, they didn't support him in his time of need. And they watched and stood until he lost his life. The hashtag Justice for Mohbad became a trending topic for days, if not weeks. People organized a candlelight procession days after his passing on the 21st of September that commenced from the Lekki Phase 1 gate in Lagos, Nigeria, and terminated at the popular Muri-Okunla Park in Victoria Island. At 8 p.m., I think that day, there was a concert with Zlatan and Shali Poppy and Falz the Bad Guy and Davido celebrating the life of this young man in death. Mohbad became iconic, both a symbol of stubborn talent and grit, as well as a totem for the obstacles that young Nigerians have to face on their way to fulfilling destiny. His death resonated deeply with a generation and a country that is constantly attacked, bullied, belittled, assaulted, and sometimes killed. It became a big debate across the country. There was a minority who thought everyone is innocent until proven guilty. And Naira Marley, there is no proof that Naira Marley, and still isn't in the public space any proof that Naira Marley or anybody associated with Naira Marley was part of this assault or the death. But the overwhelming majority of Nigerians said the anecdotal evidence shows that he had been a victim of constant physical, as evidenced by the video, and emotional bullying and support. And that, at least, as lawyers say, establishes a prima facie case for these guys to be called in for questioning. Mixed up with that, of course, is the idea that Nigerians don't believe in law enforcement. And Naira Marley has had many brushes with the law, arrested and imprisoned for crimes, things that are against the laws of Nigeria, including the possession and the use of hard drugs. And not only had he been released, he had actually become an ambassador for the Drug Law Enforcement Agency and sang songs mocking his arresters, the law enforcement agents, with his very popular Am I Yahoo Boy. So for many Nigerians, a police force that attacks and oppresses Nigerians and has never been seen to stand on the side of the oppressed was unlikely to hold to account a popular, powerful Nigerian musician, one of the very A-list, who had already escaped from their hands previously. So Nigerians thought they had to take this into their hands. There were candlelight processions everywhere. There was a candlelight procession in Awka, in Anambra State. There was a candlelight procession organized by his dear friend Bella Shmurda in Canada. There were protests in several Nigerian cities, following the death of Mohbad. He caught the attention of the cultural, economic, and political elite, including the governor of Lagos State, who was forced to make a public statement, unprecedented, for a young or even any artiste. And multiple reports that the influential son of the Nigerian president had reached directly to the family of Mohbad to support and to promise that justice will be done in this matter. Celebrities fell over each other to pay him tribute. I remember on the 19th of September, actors Femi Adebayo, Tony Abraham paid him tribute. A musician called Cade sent 2 million naira to his family, supposedly, and then released a song called Forever, dedicated to Mohbad, for which he said 100% of the royalties will go to the family. It called to mind the passing of the musician Da Green, whose passing, it was my 20s when Da Green passed, led to, for my generation, intense national mourning. But Da Green didn't die from a possible assault or attack. So this grief was even deeper, darker, angrier. September 21, 2023, International artists Meek Mill, Lil Durk, Kodak Black paid tribute to Mohbad. The next day on the 23rd, Don Jazzy, Oxlade, Rema paid tribute to Mohbad. Even some celebrities were attacked for paying tribute too late. That was the atmosphere that we had. Abuja Youth held a tribute concert at the Unity Fountain. 22nd of September, previously, he had been displayed on the Times Square billboard in New York. 19th of September, there was a formal protest in Lagos State. The next day, on the 20th, there were protests in Ogun State, in Oyo State, in Kwara State, and Ondo State. 21st of September, there were protests in Bayelsa and Ekiti State. 22nd of October, there were protests in Delta State. In Nairobi, in London, and New York, people were crying for justice for Mohbad. International media reported on this, the BBC, Vice News, the NPR in America. This was a major cultural moment, and people were asking for Naira Marley's head. Then conspiracy theories began to emerge. At the time Mohbad was rushed to the hospital after he supposedly collapsed at a concert, a fan claimed to have approached him for a photograph. According to this fan, Mohbad was strong enough to pose for the picture, and he displayed the picture on social media. Then after that, according to the fan, a few minutes later, Mohbad was admitted, and very soon the nurses declared him dead. So witnesses found it odd that his friends, those who were in Nigeria at the time, swiftly declared him dead and took his body away from the hospital shirtless, And so that whole thing began where people began to blame a nurse, the nurse who declared him dead, who was actually arrested by the police and interrogated for being part of a conspiracy to end Mohbad's life. It is important to note that none of those allegations have been proven. This is what Mohbad's mother said after her son passed. My son did not die a natural death. He was killed. Whoever killed my son, that person's home will become troubled. They will face war and curses. The glory of the child in their home will diminish because of those who killed him and their sons. I am not dead, I am alive. My son didn't find rest, and I couldn't speak up whenever he was falsely accused because I wasn't given the chance. I asked my son what happened, and he gave me money to go to the hospital. I called him from the hospital and he told me, Mommy, something is happening. I called him to come home and tell me what's happened. I am his life and heaven. He said he came home because he heard something had happened. He said he had taken and given water and then didn't know what happened to him anymore. Since then, I've been on the matter. Since then, I've been on it. He died in fear. The fear was too much. If he was supposed to go to some shows, he couldn't go because of the fear that some people were coming. He was beaten every day, and I was receiving calls from people I didn't even know. I did not rest until he was killed. This is what Mohbad's mother said after he passed. She believed that he died and was not killed by any ear infection. She believed his issues with Marlian music led directly to his death. She also said, and I have to quote this, my son will be crying all the time. They will be beating him whenever he goes for show. A show he's supposed to go for, he will not be able to attend the show. Sam Larry, I don't know who that is. I don't know anybody. I don't know any strong person. I have seen you people now. You have promised me, help me find Naira out. He used my son as a slave. When my son was with Naira, he never gave me money. Please help me find out. My son will be telling me, please do not let them kill me. I will also be telling him that I know people and that I will meet some people. He will tell me, please do not allow them to kill me. So you can understand why people were up in arms. Bella Shmurda, then in a series of tweets after the passing, called directly for Naira Marley's arrest and the arrest of Sam Larry. According to his tweet, he said, bad man will not rest. King of South and the West. I won't pay any last respect because you are still alive. Until those who oppressed you face justice and are sentenced, nothing like respect. Igboro, be aware, which means the hood, wake up, with the hashtag Justice for Mohbad. Nigerian celebrity Iyabo Ojo took this course on her head, and she has been famous for taking up a lot of courses. She had taken the course of Baba Ijesha, who was convicted and sentenced for the rape of a minor. He's a popular Nigerian actor. So she became a focal point for galvanizing public focus on ensuring that Mohbad got justice. So quickly, the Lagos State government announced that it was going to take the case seriously, the Lagos State governor, and there was a coroner's inquest. Many people didn't have any faith that this was going to end up well, but there's no other choice. People had to wait for that protest to play out. Now, the ear infection the mother refers to was because when he was in the hospital, the nurse had administered a tetanus vaccine on him, reportedly. Now, when the Lagos State government swooped into the case, the nurse was arrested and was said to be an unlicensed nurse by the Lagos State Police Command. So, on the 25th of September, that hospital was now forced to issue a statement confirming the death of Mohbad. We consider it pertinent to put it on record that at about 4:30 p.m. on the 12th of September 2023, the lifeless body of Mr. Ilerioluwa Oladimeji Aloba, aka Mohbad, was brought to our medical facility, and our medical team immediately sprung into action, and after assessment, it was discovered that there was no sign of life. No central or peripheral pulse, no heartbeat, no recordable vital sign, and his pupils were fixed and dilated. On attempting CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, rigor mortis, stiffening of some parts of the body in relation to death was observed, and the people who brought him to our facility were informed that it was a case of BID, which means brought in dead. Upon inquiry about the circumstances related to the emergency, our team was informed that the deceased was being treated at home by a nurse and that she administered injections to him. So the public began to get a clearer picture of the supposed culpability of the hospital. The Lagos State Governor invited the Department of State Services to join the investigation. These are people that typically deal with national and even political issues. Mohbad's body was exhumed by the Lagos State Police Command on the 21st of September 2023. An autopsy was carried out and concluded on the same day. On the 22nd, the police spokesperson Benjamin Hundeyin, in an interview with The Punch, confirmed that the body was in a mortuary and issued a stern warning that the death would not be turned into a media circus. But of course, by then it was too late. And nobody again had faith in the police. But on the 20th of September, Naira Marley was abroad at this time, but posted on social media and declared his innocence and said he was going to come. He had nothing to hide. But on the 28th of September, the Lagos Police Command confirmed that Sam Larry had been arrested and was currently assisting with the ongoing investigation. Okay, the auxiliary nurse who had been arrested had become a national issue. So the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives released a statement to confirm that she wasn't a licensed nurse. And Iyabo Ojo, who had by that time gone to visit the police command, amplified this news. So Sam Larry is in jail. People are waiting for Naira Marley. It also emerged around this time that in June of that year, Mohbad had filed a police report naming Sam Larry, whose real name is Samson Henry Folami Balogun, saying that they had assaulted him and destroyed his property. So all of this were coming out. So it was inevitable that either Naira Marley became a fugitive out of the country or he comes back. So he came back, declares his innocence. Police say they're going to investigate the matter. So you have protests happening. You have police investigations at the highest political levels happening. You have the hospital under siege. But this is something beautiful was happening. Mohbad was receiving the celebration that he didn't get while he was alive. His record streams grew by 702% just between September 12th when he passed and September 14th. According to Turntable, the music statistics platform, 8.2 million on-demand streams, up from just 999,000 or so just a week before. His song Peace reached #1 on Apple Music, followed by his next song, Ask About Me. Now, Peace incidentally was released under Marlian Music, but Ask About Me was released under his record label Immortalization. And other songs were 4 and 5. Beast and Peace, the opening track of his album Blessed, was at #4. On the 18th of September 2023, his album Blessed reached a new high as #4. Feel Good was at #5. On the 23rd of September 2023, it reached a peak where he was the 46th best-selling artist digitally in the world, besting those like Mariah Carey, Eminem, 21 Savage, Lady Gaga, and Chris Brown. There were people on that side saying, but Mohbad was a part of this network of, Naira Marley, all of them, and reminded people that in February of 2022, he had been arrested along with Naira Marley by the NDLEA for being in possession of drugs. And so they were indicating that this was the lifestyle that all of them were a part of, and that it was unfair to suddenly imagine that he would be treated as a saint and Naira Marley as a demon. But for many, again, that didn't justify the actual assault by these erstwhile associates. Because in the attack that he reported to the police about, he also included that Sam Larry attacked him at a video shoot, leading a group of 15 men with firearms and cutlasses who said they were working for the monarch, Lagos monarch Oba Elegushi. Now, the police claimed that after that, Mohbad didn't pursue the matter. So Sam Larry and others filed a counterclaim about defamation by Mohbad. The Elegushi issued a statement distancing himself from all of this, and the case died. But now, Mohbad had passed, and he had passed leaving behind a young wife and a young son. 13-man investigative team set up by the Lagos Police Command was not going to bring him back to life. The country was mourning, and young people were desolate. And of course, Naira Marley was ultimately released because there was, at the time, until date, as far as we know, no evidence tying him to the crime. A few months ago, the Lagos state government finally released the results of the coroner's inquest and said it was inconclusive. Unfortunately, that's what many people expected. When high-profile deaths like this have happened, especially across Nigeria and even in Lagos State recently, there have been a lot of those, it often ends in inconclusive. So, two things are probably happening. Mismanaged events at the passing of a person leads to the police not being able to accumulate enough evidence to establish causation. Or an angry public is sensationalizing what might have just been an innocent person. But it doesn't help. You have a police force that nobody trusts, whose track record is often in siding with the oppressor over the oppressed, and known more for insensitivity and carelessness than any possibility of finding the perpetrators of crime. So what have we learned 1 year after? That people were right, and you can't trust law enforcement to account for the lives of citizens. Secondly, that some of the behavior that Nigerian celebrities get away with has created in certain industries, especially in the music industry, an arena of intense toxicity where even famous artists feel like they must keep quiet for sake of their lives or their careers. The cancel culture is alive and well in Nigeria. Now, when Nigerians decide together that a behavior is unacceptable, they have the power to make it happen. From the 18th of September, the music of Naira Marley and Zinoliski was banned in several stations across the country, from Splash FM in Ibadan to Fresh FM in Ado-Ekiti, and of course across stations in Lagos. In effect, that ban remains. You'll be hard-pressed to hear a Naira Marley song or a Zinoliski song on any popular radio or TV station today. He has not been part, Naira Marley, of any mainstream show since Mohbad's passing. 18th of September, Fatia Entertainment cancelled Zinoliski's US tour. Sam Clef, a Nigerian producer and blogger, took it upon himself to lobby all the people who had pending Naira Marley tours to cancel all the tours. So we know that Nigerians, when they decide that enough is enough, can force outcomes to happen, even if they have to resort to self-help. But more importantly, is that Mohbad became an icon in death, and he will not be forgotten. It's impossible for him to be forgotten. First and foremost, he was a chartbuster before he passed on. He was part of a rising set of new Afrobeats artists. He had social currency across the global space where Afrobeats is reckoned with. But of course, on his passing, there was an explosion. Till date, he's one of the most recognizable musical names from out of the country. And all that happened after he passed. Also because he made his voice heard, didn't he? And under the intense attacks that he alleged, he ensured that no one would silence him. Because if he hadn't spoken out, Nigerians would not even have had a record of the events for which he was suffering. But the events of which Mohbad spoke continue in the industry in which he was part of, in the society in which he lives. Random violence continues. People commit these crimes without consequence. Why he died, nobody knows. But the circumstances that happened in his life before he died, we do know. And those circumstances should not have happened. Should not have happened. Nobody deserves to go through the kind of intense physical and emotional bullying that he went through. Nobody should go through that. But what has really changed? We need to ask ourselves those questions so that that death will not be in vain. And even counterbalancing the glorious exit, the way his life was celebrated, has now been the tragedy of his family drama after that. The last update on Mohbad, if you Google him, is the father now saying that before Mohbad passed, he had denied paternity of his child. Now, the father has become a problematic figure in all of this. First, he absolved Naira Marley of culpability in the passing, then released his own music, then begged the public for money, then began to fight the son's late wife and claiming that she was not really his wife. The wife herself has been dealing with this tragedy in public, accused of sleeping around, accused of, a toxic relationship, accused of all kinds of crazy things, which is precisely why a media circus is not the best thing when a person passes. But then again, you can't blame Nigerians for that because they were angry and well-intentioned. But you see, while most people blame Mohbad's father, anybody who understands Nigeria understands what's happening with that man. We all come together, we cry, we demand for justice, and then we move on. People make promises and then they don't keep those promises. At the end of the day, the families of the deceased are abandoned to themselves. Nigeria happens to so many people. And so what that man was doing was trying to take advantage of the public interest in this case to direct some resources the way of himself and his family. Now, is that despicable? Yes, perhaps. Is it understandable in a country where people protest and move on? Yes, it's understandable. This is a country where I've tried to do documentaries about cases that were in the public and people say to me, nobody is interested anymore. This is a country where the hue and cry over ensues gets fainter and fainter every year. This is a country where Mohbad's wife has been left to defend herself, and those who protested have left. This is a country where by the time the police released the reports from the coroner's inquest and all of that, there wasn't even a whimper. And that's not their fault. Nigerians are dealing with a lot. But that's the country we are dealing with. And that's the real lesson of all of this. On the anniversary of Mohbad's death, it is humbling for us to note to each other that nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Our faith in the police has not increased. Bullying across the entertainment industry has not shown any signs of abating. The toxic culture under which several stars rise, this year, one popular artist dragged another popular artist to the police station for bullying and threatening her life. This same year, a popular artist, baby mama as they call it, has cried out about his threats against her. We woke up one morning and Afrobeat artists were busy threatening each other on social media. Constantly, people are issuing the same kind of threats that made Mohbad's life hell before he passed. The police comes out, the coroner's inquest says that the pathologist established that the cause of death could not be established. So the government can still not be trusted to take conclusive action in the case of the death of Nigerian citizens. The nurse is free, and if she's innocent, thank God for that, because she deserves to be free if she's innocent. Sam Larry is out of jail. Naira Marley is out of jail. Life continues. That's the story of how we deal with so many problems that we don't even know which one to tackle. So as we finish one problem, we are moving on to the next. Finish one problem, we are moving on to the next. Finish one problem, we are moving on to the next. We don't even have the time to follow through. But if you want change to happen as a society, we need to have the space to follow through. People who protest should follow through. People, when we hold government accountable, we should follow through. When we decide that there should be systemic changes in our society, we should create systems that follow through. Yes, we are tired. Yes, we are beleaguered. But if that doesn't happen, then what happened will keep happening again. And any of us could be caught in that terrible web. Any of us. An icon in my industry won a court case a few weeks ago when a powerful Nigerian tried to throw him out of his Ikoyi house. Despite the court case, in fact, the day after the court case or so, that person came to the house, threw him out, threw his family out, and this is a veteran of Nigerian media. And we all moved on. A man, Clinton Kanu, was wrongfully arrested by a corrupt police command in Enugu, sentenced to life imprisonment, spent 27 years in prison, had the courage to fight his case, was released after 27 years because he fought his case up to the Supreme Court, came out of prison and has been abandoned to his fate, completely abandoned. Several families have come to testify that James Nwafo killed and threw the bodies of many young men, especially young men, in the Ezu River.
He told me this. I've killed your son. You can't do anything.
And he told me that they've killed my brother. James Nwafo is not just a killer cop. He is the monster that everybody is scared of.
Obianuju Iloanya and other victims have been demanding for justice for 10 years. Nothing. They've gone to the police, IG, Human Rights Commission, they've met governors, nothing. I interviewed a guest, Ukeri Agbasimalo, whose husband has been missing for 3 years. Disappeared, after police promised and his political party promised that they were going to get him out of the hands of the kidnappers.
Even till today, Labour Party just moved on.
Her life has obviously been on pause since this thing happened.
I am just existing. I'm not living.
Until today, nobody has told her where her husband is. Boko Haram has destroyed the lives of many Nigerian soldiers whose families are still waiting for compensation. This is the country we live in. This is the country we live in. All of us powerless against the forces that want to kill us. And we get so weighed down and we get so bogged down that we shout, we tweet, and we move on. So that even in the case of what is now a global icon, Mohbad, 1 year after, nothing has changed and there was no justice for him. That should worry us. That should sadden us. And that should fire us up. The greatest tribute that we can pay to a young man who reminded us of how dangerous it is to be Nigerian is to find this place, the resolve within us to demand justice and not to let things go until justice is truly done. Today, there will be tweets, there will be Instagram lives, there will be tear-stained tributes, and all of those are welcome for a man who lit up the fires of so many in life and in death. But above and beyond all of that, we must remember that the Nigeria that supposedly killed Mohbad is still killing so many citizens of our dear country. And the greatest tribute we can pay to his memory is not just to talk and move on, but to do everything we can to ensure that the death that killed a father does not also kill the son. Rest in peace, Hilary. Rest in peace.